Let me ask you something strange. Have you ever finished a conversation, walked away, and then spent the next 3 hours replaying every single word you said? Not because something went wrong, not because anyone was upset, just because your brain would not stop, like a song stuck on repeat. Except the song is you. Overthinking, again. If that hit a little too close to home, stay with me. Because what is happening inside your head is not a weakness. It is not anxiety. It is not you being too sensitive. What is actually happening is something far more interesting. And by the end of this video, you are going to understand your own mind in a way most people never do. Here is what nobody tells you about people who think too much. They are not broken. They are not overthinking because they are weak. In most cases, they are overthinking because their brain is working overtime, like a supercomputer that somebody forgot to give an off switch. And here is the wild part. The same thing that makes them exhausted at night is the same thing that makes them one of the most caring, most aware, most emotionally intelligent people in the room. Sounds like a contradiction, right? It is not. And I am going to show you exactly why. There is a part of your brain called the prefrontal cortex. Big name, simple job. It handles your thinking, your planning, your wait, what if this goes wrong? In most people, this part of the brain takes breaks. It clocks out, goes quiet. But in people who think too much, this part of the brain never really turns off. It is like leaving every single light on in your house, all night, every night. Nothing is broken. The lights work perfectly. But your electricity bill is through the roof, and that is what overthinking feels like. Every thought costs energy, and by the end of the day, you are not tired because you did too much. You are tired because your brain never stopped doing things nobody could even see. Most people who think too much did not just wake up one day and decide to live inside their heads. It started somewhere, usually when they were young. Imagine you are a little kid and the world around you feels unpredictable. Maybe the adults around you got upset without warning. Maybe making mistakes had big consequences. Maybe you never really knew what was coming next. What does a smart little kid do in that situation? They start paying attention to everything, every facial expression, every change in tone, every tiny sign that something might be about to go wrong. Because if they can see it coming, maybe they can stop it. That is not a flaw, that is survival. That is a child being smart in a complicated world. The problem is that child grows up. The world gets safer, but the brain never gets the memo. It keeps watching, keeps scanning, keeps asking, but what if? Long after the danger is gone. Here is the thing nobody talks about. Science actually looked at this, and what they found will probably surprise you. People who ruminate, people who go around and around in their thoughts, those people scored significantly higher on something called cognitive empathy, meaning they were better at understanding how other people think, how other people feel, what other people need. The overthinker who lies awake replaying a conversation is doing it because they genuinely care, because their brain is wired to notice things, to feel things, to take things seriously. The very thing that keeps them up at night is the same thing that makes them the friend who actually remembers what you told them 3 weeks ago, the colleague who notices when something is off, the partner who picks up on the thing you did not even say out loud. Overthinkers do not just think more, they feel more, they notice more, they carry more. But noticing everything comes at a price. When your brain is always on, always scanning, always asking questions, sleep becomes hard, decisions become hard. Even simple things, like what to say in a text message, can take 15 minutes because your brain is running 17 different outcomes at the same time. You have felt this, right? Someone sends you one message, no punctuation, just okay. And suddenly your brain has an entire courtroom drama running. Was that passive-aggressive? Did I say something wrong? Should I respond now or wait? Meanwhile, they literally just said, okay. This is what psychologists call the illusion of mental progress. Your brain feels like it is solving something. It is busy. It is working hard. So it must be getting somewhere. But it is not solving anything. It is just looping. And here is the sneaky part. Your brain actually rewards you for this. There is a chemical called dopamine. And your brain releases a tiny bit of it every time you think through a problem. Even a fake one. Even a problem that does not exist yet. So your brain gets a little reward for overthinking, which means it wants to do it again. And again, this is why telling someone to just stop thinking about it is useless advice. The brain has a reason to keep going. So what do you actually do about it? Therapists who work with overthinkers have found something really interesting. The goal is not to stop the thoughts. You cannot shut a supercomputer down by wishing it off. The goal is to change your relationship with the thoughts. There is a therapy technique called cognitive diffusion, and the idea is beautifully simple. Most of the time when a thought comes, we grab it, we hold it, we become it. The thought says something is wrong and we think, yes, something is wrong. But what if instead you just watch the thought? Not something is wrong, but my brain is creating a worry right now. That tiny shift changes everything, because you stop being the thought, and you start being the person watching the thought. And when you are watching it, you have a choice. You can examine it, set it down, walk away from it. You become the one in control, not the loop. If you think too much, you are not broken. Your brain learned something a long time ago. It learned to stay alert, to stay ready, to never be caught off guard. And that was probably the right lesson at the time. But you are not that kid anymore. The world you live in right now is not the same world that taught your brain to worry. Your brain is still protecting you from a storm that already passed. And the real work is gently and slowly teaching your mind that it is finally safe enough to rest. Not to stop thinking. Not to stop caring. Not to become someone who does not feel things deeply. Just to breathe. To let some thoughts pass without chasing them. To trust that not every what if needs an answer tonight. The mind is one of the most powerful things we carry. But power without rest becomes pain. You deserve rest. And understanding why your brain works the way it does is the first step to actually giving it that rest. If this video described you or someone you love, drop a comment below.